Hello and welcome to the New Leam. Every year around this time, we celebrate the coming of the goddess. From Bihar to Odisha, Bengal to Jharkhand, everywhere everybody is in full festive fever. Everybody is welcoming the goddess. But while we welcome the grand idols of Durga, let us remember the struggles, trials, and tribulations, the difficulties and hardships, the pains and agonies of the ordinary Indian woman who is no goddess, who is the real woman of flesh and blood, who has real struggles, who has real stories of pain. This is the right time for all of us to also bow down our heads to the spirit of the real Indian woman. I would want to take your attention to the recent migrant crisis, where thousands and thousands of people migrated from the cities and urban areas back to their native villages because overnight the cities which once provided them employment left them as orphans with no food or water, without any shelter, without any empathy, and closed down their doors. With their children stranded to them in their bags, with their children sleeping on their suitcases, with many women being forced to give birth on streets which were heated up, without any medical help, with women traveling thousands of kilometers in buses, in trucks, on foot, with their feet bleeding, their children hungry, and many women lost their children to hunger. What about those women? What about the women who labor day and night at our construction sites with little pay and lesser dignity? What about the women who pick up our shit? What about the women who work as manual scavengers and step into the dirty drains of our cities? What about those thousands of women without whom our homes become desperate islands without any help? Those domestic workers who make it possible for men and women to go out and do their work seriously. What about those women who labor day and night in our hospitals, in our hotels and restaurants, in our homes, in our canteens? Everywhere we see such ordinary women struggling day and night to earn a minimum basic living to feed their families. Recently, a 19-year-old Dalit girl was brutally raped and finally she died in a hospital. The media gave it attention, the politicians commented on it. The mother, the family, the brother, everybody is crying in agony and horror. While the nation and its different parts came out in protest against it, what happened in Hathras is only a symbol of how we try to systematically scuffle and cut down the voices of Dalit women in our society. This holds true for women from the tribals, the Adivasi and the minority communities other than just the Dalits. What are we trying to tell our women? When our women step into the streets, they are no longer safe. Rape, molestation, abuse always awaits them. While we run programs to ensure that our daughters go to school, to ensure that they are given bicycles and computers to pursue their studies, it is in the same country that women are brutally treated under the patriarchal and chauvinistic mindsets of men. From dowry deaths to rapes to molestations to killings to abuse in buses, trains and metros, women in India are having the hardest times of their life. They are not given dignity, they are not given respect, they are not treated as human beings. Today, when we go to the pandals and celebrate the festival of Durga, let us not forget that the real Durga is in the real women of India. Their flesh and blood, their pain and agony are the real subjects of worship. We don't have to worship them really, we just have to treat them as equal human beings. After all, women make up half the sky. If we don't give them dignity, if women are not allowed to breathe freely, live freely, and fulfill their dreams without fear and worries, we have failed as a society. This time, when we worship the goddess, when we invoke the artist's creativity in creating the magnificent idol of Durga in the form of a migrant worker, let us not forget in our praise of his creativity that this woman actually existed. This woman actually walked for hundreds of kilometers with her feet sore and bleeding. She was compelled to give birth on the streets with no medical help. She was forced to see her child die with hunger and thirst. She is the one who labored at our construction sites, erected our walls. But when the lockdown started, we orphaned her and allowed her to die. When we bow our heads in respect to the goddess, let us not forget that this celebration of maternity, this celebration of the woman's power, of the God, will not be complete if we don't allow our real women of flesh and blood a dignified living, the life of their choice, the freedom to choose their own life trajectories, and to live with their heads held high. Thank you.